Hello and welcome to Tabletop Odyssey. My name is Jay and today I'm going to be asking the question, is Star Wars Legion underrated? First things first, if you are not already subscribed to the channel, then please, and you like basically what you see so far, then do consider hitting the subscribe button, it really does help. Secondly, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, but I am on the mend, but you might notice my voice possibly doesn't sound like my voice normally does. So back to the subject, what has triggered this? Well, I've only seen two, there's probably more, and don't get me wrong, when I mention these two people, I'm not saying that they are wrong just because they don't necessarily share my view. It was just me explaining what has triggered this video. But basically, I was reading a Bell of Lost Souls article today, and Andy was mentioned in it, basically Blackjack Legacy, and he gave his Game of the Year award to Vanguard, and he did so on his stream. I think Legion was in the running for that, so you know, he obviously likes Legion and thought it was a good game and stuff. And Ash from Guerrilla Miniature Games, I think he had a top 5 games of 2018. I don't think Star Wars Legion was in there, and he also did several different videos, so he might have mentioned Legion somewhere else. I'm not saying that they are wrong, just so you know. They are more than entitled to their opinion. Just overall, it got me thinking whether or not Star Wars Legion then was being underrated, and if so, why? Many people will probably disagree with me and think Star Wars Legion is exactly where it should be. Maybe it's overrated. Nobody is right when it's subjective. We don't have figures that say this is the best game and this is the worst game, and we don't even have sales at the minute that say this is the most popular game and this isn't the most popular game. Although we all know 40k is the most popular game pretty much. Well, 40k and X-Wing. So why would it be underrated? Well, I think a lot of people probably played it at the start when there wasn't that many options. So when the game was released, we had, was it 3 or 4 options aside? Let's look at the Rebels. Luke, Rebel Troopers, AT-RT, Airspeeder, and the Airspeeder was like wave 1 you had to buy, it didn't come in the core set, and it's a similar story for the Imperials. And you've got 2 factions with 4 options each. Not many options there, not very versatile, not very varied, and I completely understand why people who played that game then aren't necessarily thinking it was a great game of 2018, right? But I think when you look at it now, it's actually a lot more varied. We still only have 2 factions, but we got more factions coming later, probably this year now. And when I look at it now, I'm like, well, the game is a lot more varied. You can have different styles of lists, so many different options, so many different play styles, even just within those 2 factions. And I think the game now is all together well-rounded, and I think it's just going to get better and better. I do think having 2 factions is still like a limiting factor to why Legion is probably underrated. It obviously fits the universe, Imperials versus Rebels, but I can't wait for when we get the Clone Wars. That will then take us up to 4 factions, and then we'll probably get the Resistance and the First Order, which possibly take us up to 6. That might be the year after or the year after that, something like that. And then you're looking at like proper full-on wargaming like experience. Now, why didn't FFG just come out with everything that they've been released at the launch? Well, that's pretty obvious really, in a sense. Nobody would have bought everything, and there would have been stuff on the shelves, and it wouldn't have been logistically possible. So that's sort of 2 things in one there. But number one, if you release 20 things and I can only afford 10, then I'm only going to be able to buy 10. And if that happens for every single person, then you don't sell everything as well, and the hype would probably deflate. And then secondly, logistically getting all those products out at the same time would just cost a lot of money, basically. A lot of research, a lot of development, all that kind of stuff, shipping, printing, all that kind of stuff. And I think people have got to accept that if you're trying to compete on a full wargaming level, that you're not going to get a 40k killer straight off the bat. Like, it's taken 40k has been around for decades. It's not an overnight sensation. Do you know what I mean? And we've got to presume that a game's going to have to slowly grow. And for me, Legion's one of the best challenges to it in terms of both gameplay and aesthetic. I just like everybody likes Star Wars, don't they? And gameplay wise, I think it's absolutely incredible. I think it's one of the best war games that I've ever played. And I've not played like loads and loads, but I really like it. I think the alternative activations is so much better than saying I do everything, you do everything system. I think Kill Team sort of showed what that could be like in a 40k universe. I think like that's one of the best things about that. And yeah, overall, I think a lot of people played it at the start. Maybe it was like, oh, there's not too much here. The game's alright, but there's not too much here. But over time, we've just had I do apologise, I'm dying over here. We've just had, like, I want to say complexity added, but I mean it in a good way. Like, we've had strategic options added. Even just having the commanders Vias and Leia really changed the game at that point. And then it just got better and better from that. Like when you got to Boba Fett for the Imperials, that really like changed the dynamic of the Imperial faction. And it just keeps getting better and better. And we've had a reasonably consistent lot, apart from the Barricade month, which let's not talk. No, not the Barricade month. The what was it called? Some priority supplies. Apart from that month, they've generally released something every month. Hopefully the specialists haven't been delayed, but we'll talk about it another time, I guess. And they've been pretty consistent, one thing every month. And it's been a nice rate. If you were just collecting one faction, you could very much, every 2 months, you'd have a completely different, not a completely different faction, sorry, a completely different unit, which changes your playstyle. Like now you can go super short range with like Wookiees that have like a melee force, or you can be long range with the commandos, snipers. Like the versatility of the armies has now expanded. You can play many different things within one faction. Now, as I said, it all goes back to if you played it then to what it is now. I can understand why you would maybe not consider it too much, but I really hope that a lot of people will revisit it. I think when the Clone Wars comes around, that would be a perfect time for new people to get back into it, or old people who played it then, who are now considering getting back into it, to jump in. And yeah, I personally think it's underrated. I think it's just a lot of people who play Legion, when you speak to them, they'll tell you it's one of the best war games that they've ever played. I think some people are like, I mean, apart from maybe Armada, this is the best game ever, or apart from X-Wing, or apart from Guild Ball, they all have like the odd special one that they really like, but a lot of people just really, really like it as like one of the best games that they've ever played, and I can see why. And the depth of the game it's easy to underestimate, I think, when you just play a casual game. The strategic elements, the tactical elements, they just expand the more you dive into it. And when I go to a tournament, there's people who play the game, I'm sort of say like in the middle, there's people who play the game and we're having fun on the first couple of games, and then you get to the top table and you can just sort of, it's not that the friendliness changes or anything like that, but the game itself changes to like, oh, I actually need to be precise and strategic with absolutely everything I do, otherwise I'm going to get punished. And I think it's one of those cases where the best players win most of the time. And that's what I want out of a competitive game. Yes, there's also not that much in terms of abuse when it comes to lists. It does sort of make sense at the minute to say, to sort of min-max a little bit, but it's not overpowering or like off-putting to me. But there is an element of, it's better to take 6 Z6s and then 3 of these and then 3 of these. But you give the 2 different people, like a good player versus a bad player, the same list. That good player is going to win 9 times out of 10. And that's what I really like. Whereas I think like in 40k, I don't really play 40k, so excuse me, but in other games, it can definitely be that the variance of that is a little bit too dependent on random elements, like who gets first turn, etc. And that's one of the reasons why I think Legion's worth having a second look at. If you started in March, you got bored because of the amount of options, then, the quality of the game is fantastic. Well, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As I said, I'm not attacking Ash. His top 5, it's his top 5, for Christ's sake. Like, he's more than entitled to his opinion. It was just sprung to my mind. I was like, is this game underrated? And in my opinion, the answer is yes. Not giving a game of the year doesn't mean it's bad. Andy obviously still likes the game. I haven't actually seen what Ash thinks of the game. I haven't seen him talk about it, so he might still like the game. He probably does. But yeah, So again, I'm not attacking those two people specifically just because they have different opinions. Different opinions are fine. As long as it's not like, I think murdering is okay, and I'm fairly sure not putting Legion as your #1 game is not in the same camp as that. So yeah, I'm progressing on getting better, and I will get better very soon. If you like the video, then do like, subscribe, as I said at the start. Thank you to my patrons, I do really appreciate that. Facebook and Discord in the description below. Have a most beautiful day, and goodbye. Bye guys.